So the Republicans just passed a historic tax cut bill, and it is historic. Sometimes they throw that word around, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is a good thing. I think it is historically disastrous. It cuts trillions of dollars of taxes from corporations and the rich. 80% of the benefits go to the top 1%. I think it will be an epic disaster. So Paul Ryan, immediately after passing the bill, started talking about entitlement reform. Now, if you don't know, entitlement reform is when they cut Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. Now, the reason it's called entitlements in the first place is because you are entitled to Social Security and Medicare. You paid into it your whole life. It's your money that the government is giving back to you. But the Republicans just passed that huge tax bill that brings all the money to the rich. They're gonna need to get that money somewhere. So all that money you paid into Social Security and Medicare, well, maybe you're not entitled to it because they already gave it away. So without missing a beat, Real Clear Policy has an editorial today from somebody from American Enterprise Institute named James Capretta, who comes in and goes, blame entitlements, not the tax bill, for blowing up the deficit. But wait a minute, you guys just put a $1.5 trillion hole in the deficit. And you admitted it's math, there's no question around it, everybody knows it. But no, they didn't even have the courtesy to wait, what, a week, a month, a year for people to forget? No, on day one. Now, look, we need the money. We need the money to pay the rich. Now give us your money, middle class. We're gonna rob your money. Day one, day one. So he makes absurd arguments like this. He says, left unchecked, entitlement spending will overwhelm the federal government in coming years, with or without the GOP's relatively small tax cut. Tax cut was to the tune of about $6 trillion. Now, they got some of that other money back by closing loopholes that affect, by the way, the middle class. So they took some of it from the middle class. They took some of it in spending cuts. Now they say, no, I know, but it didn't cover everything. So you still have $1.5 trillion that's not covered. So they're like, well, then we got to take it from you. Relatively small tax cut. They were just bragging yesterday about what a gigantic tax cut it is. It's tremendous. It's the biggest tax cut ever. And actually, that's true. It is enormous. Now all of a sudden, it's a small tax cut. That's not really the problem. Oh, squirrel, over there. Look over there. And it's not just to distract you. It's to rob you. He explains the budgetary squeeze from growing entitlement spending will get worse in the years ahead, especially with the retirement of the baby boom generation. Budgetary squeeze? You just squeezed the budget to the tune of a $1.5 trillion. Again, not billion, trillion. You created the squeeze in the first place. And they have the audacity on day one to turn around and go, we got a budget problem, we got a deficit problem. And so I'm gonna have to take it from Medicare and Social Security. In case you're unclear, that's what he's talking about. He clarifies, he says the Congressional Budget Office projects that spending on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid alone will increase government outlays by 4.5% of GDP in 2040 compared to 2017. Those are not impressive stats, but I put that quote in there just so you understand that yes, they are coming for your Social Security and Medicare, let alone Medicaid. And so who's this fella anyway? Well, James C. Capretta, as they explain at the bottom of the article, is a Real Clear Policy contributor and holds the Milton Friedman Chair at the American Enterprise Institute. The American Enterprise Institute is a neocon think tank that pushed for the Iraq War, that has pushed for giant tax cuts for the rich and for corporations. It is partly funded by the Koch brothers. So after receiving their trillions of dollars in booty, they turn around and send their dogs out to make arguments that they thought up in their think tank. Where shall we get the money? Oh, I got an idea. Why don't we rob it from the middle class? Just take their Social Security and Medicare and go, oh, the real problem isn't the trillions in taxes we just gave the Koch brothers. The real problem is you and your entitlements. If you didn't think they were coming for you, you don't understand how Republicans work, or honestly how all politics works. The donors didn't give all those money to those corrupt politicians for their health. They gave it for a payoff. The payoff is you give me the money and you go get it from the middle class. This is not the end of the great American robbery, it's the beginning.